I call on the Leader of Sinn Féin, Deputy MaryLou McDonald, please.
Gurmagat Count Corla. Taoiseach, two reports out today are absolutely damning in terms of your government's housing policy. The latest rental report from daft.ie shows that rip-off rents are up another staggering 10% in the last 3 months of last year. New figures also revealed that cuckoo funds, courtesy of sweetheart tax deals provided by your government, massively outbid ordinary house buyers for family homes and then rent them back to those people at extortionate rates. So on your watch, affordability has gone out the window. These rack rents mean that people have no breathing room to save for a deposit, and Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael have made home ownership a pipe dream for an entire generation, a nightmare for those desperately seeking to put a roof over their heads. In October's budget, you did nothing for renters. Zero, zilch, nada. And this has to change fast. The cost of living measures that you say you will bring forward must include measures to cut rents and ban rent increases for 3 years. Ripped off renters need relief now. The average rent for the last 3 months of 2021 were a whopping €1,524 and over €2,000 in Dublin. So let's take a second, Taoiseach, for that to sink in. Double-digit increases in 20 counties, up by 20% or more in every county in Connacht. So clearly, Minister O'Brien's rent cap is a failure. In December, Taoiseach, you said that the role of cuckoo funds in wrecking the housing market was being exaggerated. But your claim was simply untrue, and it doesn't tally with the fact that 4,900 family homes were bulk purchased by these very funds last year, and that they outbid ordinary home buyers by up to 32%. Taoiseach, it's past time that government took action on these funds. They are a key driver in pushing rents up to record levels. Rip-off rents people are forced to pay, by the way, before they get to pay their energy bills, put food on the table, or meet their childcare bills. Many renters are left literally with nothing at the end of the month. So is it any wonder the generation rent feels battered, bruised, exhausted, and sold out? The daft.ie report shows government failing on supply. The number of homes available to rent is at its lowest level in 15 years. So we shouldn't be surprised that landlords get away with charging big money to live sometimes in places where your feet can literally touch your fridge while you're lying in your bed. This is a social disaster. It is unfolding on your watch. And rip-off rents rob a generation of a decent life and the ability to build their future. So this can't continue. We need action now. Renters don't have the luxury of waiting on the never for government to deliver on supply. Is tubaiste so síalta iad na cíisina atá as smaachta Taoiseach. Tá glúin umlán atá níos measa as náriamh agus tá sé ag dul in olcas, so caithfí an rialtas cíisina a gearra agus cosca chur ordaithe feadh 3 bliain. Taoiseach, I've been asking you till I am blue in the face to cut rents by means of a tax credit, putting €1,500 back into renters' pockets, and to ban rent increases for 3 years. You could have done this at budget time. You chose not to. I now urge you, as part of the cost of living package, you promised to do these very things. Take this opportunity, Taoiseach, to finally make the difference for the renters of Ireland.
Taoiseach.
Well, I thank the Deputy for raising the question and the issue. This government came to office about over a year and a half ago now, and I've made it clear that housing is the key social issue facing our country and our society. Ireland needs an average of about 33,000 homes constructed per annum right out until 2030. These homes are needed to satisfy demand for housing across all 4 tenures: affordable, social, private, and private rental and private ownership. The Department of Housing, Local Government and Heritage, in the context of the Housing for All strategy, have broken down that tenure type as follows in terms of our objectives: 11,800 new private ownership homes, 6,500 new private rental homes, 4,100 new affordable homes, and 10,300 new social housing homes. So the state is putting in terms of investment, the largest amount of capital ever in terms of social and affordable housing, and with clear targets in terms of reaching that 33,000 figure that we desperately need to get to. We were hit back last year in terms of supply because of COVID and the year before. There's a need in the market and there'll be demand in the market for 6,500 new private rental homes per year. If the market supplies fewer than that number, then rents will rise even further. We cannot wish away, Deputy, the basic laws of supply and demand. We need more supply, and we need it as quickly as we possibly can. And I've been very consistent and open in the House saying the state sector will invest in an unprecedented way in terms of social houses and in terms of affordable houses. We will also need private investment to make sure that we can get up to that 33,000 figure, and across all the 4 types of housing we want, from cost rental to affordable to social and indeed private. Now, in respect of funds and institutional funds and so on, we've already passed planning laws and taxation measures to stop the bulk buying of houses and homes in estates. You know that, and that is the position. And Board Planola has followed up on that with recent decisions, copper-fassing those legislative changes that the Minister made. And it is basically about supply. And I know you may not agree and you don't like me raising the whole issue of supply. And I know people are objecting to various projects on an ongoing basis. Like, if we believe the crisis, and I do believe it's a crisis, I don't think we have the luxury of consistently opposing planning applications for social housing, affordable housing, or private housing. I know you yourself have opposed 1,100 rental in Clonlift. You may have your good reasons for doing so. But I find it hard to reconcile the definition of a crisis with wholesale serial objections to projects that would give us really badly needed supply. The answer here is more supply.
Without interruption.
We need more supply of houses. We need to be building more houses. 20,000 last year, okay, the COVID lockdown hit us. Hopefully to reach 25,000 in 2022. But the target in Housing for All is to get to 33,000 houses every year. Okay, that's what we need to get to. And we need that across all types. And private housing, public housing to an unprecedented degree, affordable housing, cost rental. So, and you quoted daft.ie to me. Here's what the author of daft.ie says on the key page. He says, as ever, the solution remains in the construction of large numbers of market and cost rental housing to cater for tenants of all incomes. That's the report that you quoted earlier. That's their conclusion in terms of what is required. And I know it's very, very difficult out there for people. And the Housing for All strategy is the correct strategy. The investment is there from the public side. I have seen no real substantive alternatives in terms of that supply issue coming from anybody, really, because we've gone through the figures with all of the people involved. We've gone, it's been a detailed dive in terms of the policy underpinning the Housing for All in terms of the various tenure types. And we need now to get on with it and allow the houses to be built. And that is a sincere point I am making. If we're all agreed this is a crisis, we're not going to solve it with 20,000 units a year or 25,000 units a year. We need 33,000 at a minimum per year.
Deputy McDonald.
You don't need to do any kind of deep dive just to come across these figures. 1,500 euros or 2,000 euros a month for your rent. That is simply unaffordable. And it seems to me that you don't actually understand what's happening out there. You seem to be suggesting that these funds build the houses in question. They don't. They acquire them, and they are acquiring them by outbidding ordinary families and workers who simply want to purchase their home and put a roof over their head. That's what's happening. And do you know what your policy is doing? It's actually making a bad situation worse. And it's demonstrating that the wrong kind of supply can actually make the situation worse. So for the average renter, they find themselves in this nightmare of your construction, being fleeced for high rent by these funds that have sweetheart and favourable arrangements with you, unable to accumulate a deposit and unable to advance in their lives in their totality. It is outrageous, and it strikes me that you are happy to come in and recite big figures, but never actually get to the root of the issue or deal with the day-to-day reality that people cannot make their rent. So I put it to you again, as part of your cost of living package, cut rents by means of a tax credit, and for God's sake, put a ban on runaway rent increases for 3 years.
Thank you, Deputy.
Do those things, Taoiseach, for the renters of this country.
Thank you very much.
There is no doubt in my mind that your policies would restrict rental supply in the next number of years and would actually cause rents to go up. And you know, you mentioned houses there. You know well that we've already taken steps, legislative and taxation, that doesn't allow for bulk buying of houses and for homes in housing estates. It does not, and you know it. And Bord Pleanála has followed up in terms of recent decisions in relation to that. Mullen Park and Maynooth did not proceed. And we're talking here in terms of the other report that was referenced this morning in terms of apartments and so on. That's the context. And in terms of houses and homes and so on in the States, there cannot be bulk buying in those situations. But as I said, I know that. I do understand. Apartments are homes. I think the fundamental point is one of supply. And you don't. You've consistently ignored it because you're playing the political sloganeering. You're into exploiting the issue for the sake of electoral gain. I know that. But the real issue in supply is this. At different times and at different stages, your spokesman and others will advocate for private development and say we want it. What we're saying in Housing for All, 33,000 houses is required. Social housing of up to 10,000 will be required, and we're providing funding for. Likewise with affordable housing, and likewise there will be a need for private rental. If we restrict supply, the rents will go up. As sure as night follows day. We need supply, and what we do not need is serial objections, as your party have, to Tala, to Debate, right across. You have objected to about 6,000 houses. Sinn Féin have objected to them and voted against them happening. Now that to me is hypocrisy when put in contrast with the huge crisis that we have in terms of housing.
I'm fed up with this Taoiseach lying about what Sinn Féin councillors are doing. They are downright lying.
It is not acceptable to accuse any member. It is not acceptable to accuse any member of the House of lying. I would ask you to withdraw that claim.
Not withdraw it. It's dishonest.
Oh, well, please withdraw the accusation of lying.
No intention of
it is out of order. You know it is. So are you substituting misleading the House?
I'm more than happy to substitute willingly misleading the House for lying. It's the same thing, Taoiseach.
Thank you.
Now.